Lindsey Rohr, and I am a University Studies Leadership major from Farmersville, Texas, class of 2015. Whoop! Graduate in May. I'm very excited. I double minor in Religious Studies and Creative Studies. I'm a transfer student. I transferred last year, was my first year. I did 2 years at a community college in the Dallas area. And I used those 2 years to be a formative time for myself and a discernment time. I was discerning different careers and possibly a future in youth ministry. And so I wanted to work at a church there while also taking core classes. So I did that for 2 years and then decided to come to A&M because I fell in love with the Aggie traditions and everything about the Aggie family. But I also fell in love with St. Mary's and everything that was all the opportunities that were at St. Mary's were endless. And I wanted to be involved. And so I applied and I got accepted and I couldn't have been more excited. It was a dream come true. And so I transferred to A&M and I was welcomed into open arms of the Aggie family. But really St. Mary's was the place where I felt most at home. One of my favorite things about being an Aggie is the family and the traditions. But the student body is so huge and so large that you cannot really get to know everybody. And so going to St. Mary's is where you really have those deep relationships and you find those connections that have lasted throughout my whole years here and have been the deepest and truest friendships that I've been so thankful for. Transferring here at St. Mary's really made the transition a lot easier to have that more intimate environment and surrounding with people than just going into such a large university from a community college. When I first came here, I wanted to be involved in everything. I wanted to sign up for everything and do everything, but I learned shortly that not only is that not possible, but it is not recommended. And so I got involved with Kappa Theta Beta, KTB, and SMIRT pretty soon, the St. Mary's Youth Retreat team. And those were my two big ones that I held on to for the first year that I was here, and I really, really enjoyed both of them. The sisterhood and everything that KTB offers is beautiful. And now being an intern for KTB, I've seen a whole new side of it, and it just continues to amaze me every time how God uses those girls and how He's glorified through that sisterhood and all the service and opportunities that we have. And then through SMIRT has also been an amazing experience. Pursuing youth ministry, I knew that when I saw they had a youth ministry team that was something I wanted to be involved in, to be able to discern my future more. And I was so thankful I found it. Being able to go on youth retreats and help staff those at multiple different churches and be able to have your hands into different lives and to be able to impact them and glorify God through that has been a phenomenal experience as well. So those were the really two organizations that I got started in right off the bat. But then after my first year here, I decided to apply to be an intern, a campus ministry intern. And after being accepted into that, I was not able to be as involved in those as I had before. But it was a different side of things. I was on the more administrative side of KTB and seeing that. And that, like I said, working with those student leaders and being in those meetings and seeing those friendships and laughing so much has just been one of my favorite experiences at St. Mary's. And then the same for SMIRT, being able to still staff retreats and then see those student leaders working behind the scenes has been really inspiring for myself and for my future of discerning in ministry. So coming into St. Mary's, I knew that I wanted to discern a future in youth ministry. I didn't know where, and I didn't know how that was going to come to fruition, but I knew that could be something that God was calling me towards. And so being an intern as a year at St. Mary's really gave me an inside look into how ministry runs on the staff side of things, being in the staff meetings, being able to work with the staff on a different level than I ever had before. I got to see the good and the bad and the everything put together and what all the hard work is behind the scenes, and it was a beautiful process. Not always pretty, but beautiful in the long run. And so that process really made me think more about youth ministry and the way I wanted to pursue that. And I applied to a couple different positions and ended up finding a position in the Dallas area for a youth evangelization and formation coordinator. And I applied there and interviewed and was very excited but a little nervous about if that could be the next step. And then I just today got a call back and they asked me to take the job, and I discerned and prayed about it, and I decided that that is where God is calling me to be. And so I'm very excited to see that next step happen. And I know that my experience at St. Mary's is much to thanks for having built me up and formated me in this way to be able to go out and glorify God in a new way and be able to form the youth in a new way that I ever had been able to experience before. So I'm very thankful for St. Mary's and for the internship and the staff for being so helpful and for filling me up so much so that I can go out and pour it out into the youth in a new way. St. Mary's has given me a passion for youth and a passion for His church and a love for everybody involved.